Welcome to another edition of Believe in the Bronx, the rainy night in New York. Yankees signed Carlos Rodon edition, and Mike Stanton in Houston, Pete Caldera here in New York. Mike, this was another target of the Yankees coming out of the San Diego winter meetings that they pretty much identified that they wanted to strengthen their rotation. It wasn't an acute need of the Yankees. When you consider that they had five starters, but the addition of Carlos Rodon into this rotation slotted behind Garrett Cole and with Cortez, Severino, and Frankie Montas in the mix, this could be one of the, if healthy, one of the better rotations in baseball right now.
There's no doubt. I mean, Rodon definitely makes them better. I mean, this is a special arm. Last couple of years, he's been healthy. Earlier in his career, he was having physical issues, but we see this a lot with pitchers. Sometimes it just takes them a long time to figure out what they need to do, what they don't need to do to stay on the field, stay on the mound. And, Rodon, even though he has had a hiccup here or there in the last couple of years, he's stayed pretty healthy. And when he's on the mound, when he's right, you're talking about one of the filthiest pitchers in all of baseball. I mean, I've seen him. I go back to 2021. He came in here in the Astros, into Houston to pitch against the Astros while he was still with the White Sox. And he pitched the game. The Astros had no chance against him whatsoever. I actually made the statement in the postgame that night that was the best arm that the Astros had seen all year, whether it was the fastball, the slider combination, the high velocity, the bulldog mentality he had. I mean, he's just that good. And the Yankees, Pete, they love to have those power left-handers in the rotation. It nullifies the short right field porch. Yes, you already have Nestor Cortez, not necessarily a power guy. Carlos Rodon is absolutely a power guy. This is a big swing and miss. Just going to have to make sure that he stays healthy. I don't think the AAV of this deal, it's a 6-year, $162 million deal that comes out to $27 million a year. That's not an outrageous number for a top of the rotation arm like Rodon is. Now, the 6 years, that might be a little bit of a different story, but we've seen teams going crazy this offseason. So it's not surprising that he got that extra year in the 6th year.
Yeah, right. He kind of slots in right behind what Jacob deGrom got from the Texas Rangers with that 5/185 deal. Yeah, as you said, with his $27 million AAV, that's fourth on the Yankees now, behind Mr. Judge, Cole, and Giancarlo Stanton. But still a significant outlay for a guy who's number one. Yes, I think they absolutely had to have that power lefty. Because it gives you a different look. You're right. Cortez is not that classic. He's going to give you what he gives you. He's going to give you all those angles. They had Jordan Montgomery in their rotation, not a power lefty. But this is a guy when healthy, and that caveat when healthy. I mean, you say that about every pitcher, but Rodon is a guy who has had some shoulder fatigue issues in the past. He had Tommy John surgery in his past, but he's obviously, many pitchers bounce back from that better than ever. He certainly fits into that category. The last 2 seasons, all-star seasons, and then opted out of his Giants contract to get this deal right here. So I think, where he lands with the Yankees in the middle of this rotation, they give you a lot of different looks now with Cole at the top. You assume Rodon slots behind him. Then 3, 4, 5, you can put him wherever you want. Severino is as talented as he is, and if he's healthy, Montas, obviously they're hoping that they get a bounce back year from him after his shoulder issues, and of course, Cortez, first All-Star season. I mean, a lot of what he did last year was not anticipated. He didn't come out of spring training thinking this was going to be an all-star pitcher, but he was. And does he have to prove it again on some level? Absolutely. You have to prove yourself every day in this game. And in New York, they'll be looking for an encore season from Cortez. But you'd want to go to war with this rotation, Mike.
Yeah. I mean, listen, you got to love the diversity in the rotation. I mean, it's one thing. Yeah, you got a bunch of guys that are throwing hard, but none of them really throw similar to anyone else. And, whether it's a sinking fastball, whether it's Garrett Cole with the riding fastball, Severino with the devastating slider, Montas with a great changeup. And now you have two left-handers. You have more of a finesse, a control command type guy with Nestor Cortez, and then you have the big power arm with Carlos Rodon. So you got to love the fact that you got two lefties in that rotation, and they're a completely different style of pitcher. So you don't really get used to one style, one arm slot, whatever it may be. Hitters don't like to see different guys. If everybody's throwing a four-seam fastball and throwing high velocity, okay, that's fine. But that's not what the Yankees have. If these guys can stay healthy, and again, you're right, you can say that against every rotation. But, they still have question marks of guys. Rodon has had health issues in the past. Severino's had health issues in the past. Frankie Montas didn't pitch at the end of the season last year. So, there's still question marks there. But if this rotation is healthy and they're pitching up to their capabilities, this could be the best rotation in baseball.
Apologies for the background noise in here. We get a lot of
they're coming to get you.
I live in Midtown Manhattan. You get a lot of ambulances going by on across 34th Street across town. It's my reality dealing with every night. The Yankees' depth of pitching. They did have some depth before this deal. Obviously, their depth now is that much more increased. With Domingo Germán, with Clark Schmidt.
Right.
You go to perhaps Davy Garcia or where else they you want to slot in there down the line, and up and coming pitchers that we'll be seeing in spring training, but also they have a lot more trade depth now, and there are certainly other areas of need on this club. First of all, I mean, they still have a hole in left field where they would like to reunite with Andrew Benintendi, and perhaps this gets done because seems like he's their number one choice. But I wonder if in the course of these negotiations for Rodon that the name Michael Conforto came up, who's also a client of Scott Boris's too. So still another possibility there. But you would anticipate that the Yankees' next big move, and perhaps the last major piece of this 2023 team, would be to add that left-handed hitting left fielder.
Yeah, and I agree. I think Benintendi is the right player. Conforto is a very good player, but there is swing and miss in his game. Benintendi, I think it's one of the big people that they were missing at the end, one of the big players they were missing at the end of the season last year, him and DJ LeMahieu both, because they were not the three true outcome type hitters. It wasn't about the home run. It wasn't about the walk. It was, these guys are contact type hitters that can carry a high batting average, but it can also carry a high on base percentage to go with it. You need some dudes on in front of the home runs. I mean, that's the simple truth to the matter. And that's why, Benintendi for me is really the player that the Yankees need. Not just want, that's who they need, because they need a little bit more contact than some of the guys they have out there right now. Same thing with DJ LeMahieu. Wherever position he's going to play, you got to get him his at-bats, because, this is a former batting champion. This is a guy that really knows how to work an at-bat, use the whole field, and he's not trying to drive the ball out of the ballpark all the time.
Right. Yeah. For balance sake in their lineup, that I think Benintendi would be a huge addition, a big fit. And, frankly, he was a guy that, was going to be a big part of this, of their October, the ingredients towards a longer October run than they had.
Right.
And obviously he gets hurt with the hamate issue, and it sort of compromises their offense. The loss of LeMahieu was felt in a big way. He's still a bit of a question. We'll get it. We should get an update. Aaron Boone will be doing something at Yankee Stadium later this week, so we may get a better idea of where LeMahieu stands physically. But it seems like they've gone the conservative route with this right foot issue, big toe, second toe. He's had ligament damage, he had a stress fracture in there, so. They were trying to thread this needle, trying to get him back and trying to avoid surgery. Mm-hmm. And we're still no guarantee. even this deep into the off season. So, and then they also have, some ideas about how they can get their payroll down a little bit now. And one way would be to trade Gleyber Torres, who would be owed about $10 million in arbitration this year. I don't know how much they can anticipate getting takers for Aaron Hicks or Josh Donaldson, and those two guys combined, that's $50+ million guaranteed on their deals. Hicks for the next 3 seasons, Donaldson for this season, and buying out his option for next year. So, these are the next moves that the Yankees will be looking towards.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I don't. I know there's been a lot of talk about trading bad contract for bad contract. I don't know if they can, if Cashman can pull that off or not. We'll just have to wait and see. I think that the odds-on favorite right now is that the Yankees are just stuck with those contracts, that there's just not anything they're going to do. I mean, if they want to release the players or whatever, but I don't think they're going to be able to find anyone to take those contracts off their hands and make a substantial, take some substantial money off of the luxury tax number. So we'll just have to wait and see. But those are hard deals to be made, and bad contracts for bad contracts. There's really no winner in those situations, because you're bringing on a player that's been struggling also. It's just one of those things, and it's unfortunate right now that the Yankees are on the verge of I think they are definitely the pick in the American League East again at this point. They're one of the best teams in the American League, and Rodon has done nothing but make them even better. But still got some question marks. If I have to find somebody, need a left-handed stick to play left field, and I think that's really probably at the forefront of Brian Cashman's mind right now.
Yeah, and you look around the division too, Mike. The Blue Jays have made some moves. I think they still have some moves to make to improve their team. You kind of wonder what the Boston Red Sox are up to right now. I mean, they've it was they signed the Japanese left fielder Yoshida, and this is a kind of a big X factor here that don't know how his game will play in the big leagues, but he does come with with some high credentials. But there are people who thought that the Red Sox made an overpay on that player, and then they still have certainly a lot of holes in other departments. They let Bogarts go. You wonder about where they are in the catching department and in their starting pitching. The field is seems like it's open for the Yankees to repeat as division champions if everything goes well again for them on balance.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice for Yankees fans if the Yankees could actually just stay healthy one year.
Yeah.
Listen, everybody has aches and pains. Everybody has players go on the IL, but it seems like the Yankees have like just an all-star team on the IL every year. It would be nice to see what they could actually do if they could stay on the field and play up to their capabilities, because this is even with a couple bad contracts. It's not like Aaron Hicks forgot how to play baseball. It's not like Josh Donaldson has no idea how to play the hot corner anymore. They just have not been able to play up to exactly what the Yankees need them to do. Also doesn't mean that they can, Josh Donaldson's more advanced in age. Doesn't mean he can't turn back the clock. He doesn't mean he can't have a good season.
Yeah.
And you put both of them down further in the lineup, especially if you can get Benintendi and get DJ LeMahieu back on the field. Now you're talking about a pretty deep lineup, and maybe you can hide somebody there in the back end of that lineup. But it really looks like what's going to carry this team is going to be the pitching. I mean, and that's exactly where Brian Cashman has gone here. He's gone to the top of the free agent market as of today with Rodon, and you got to love it. Them having 2 left-handers in that rotation, that's going to be a big plus. Pitching, playing 81 games at home, because that helps nullify that right field porch.
Yeah, and this too. When you sign a long-term contract with the Yankees, you're you're also buying into New York and all the
Sure.
pressures that go along with that. Just what I mean from what you know about Rodon, a guy that can certainly handle what the pressure that's going to come every fifth day pitching in New York.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be a problem. And obviously, what you would like to do more than anything else is get off to a good start. Have a couple good starts at the beginning. Get in the Yankee fans' good graces. But listen, this is a veteran player. He's moved around. He's played in Chicago. Chicago's not an easy place to play, especially the South Side. He's been out in San Francisco. So I don't think there's going to be a big issue. You really never know, though. I mean, there's been some great players that have dealt with controversy in the past that come to New York and struggle. So we'll just have to wait and see. But I don't think, from what we hear about his personality, who he is in the clubhouse, we've heard that he, other than the day he starts, he's a great dude. The day he starts, that's when the bulldog mentality shows up. And you can see that on the mound. And I think that Yankee fans are going to identify with that. I think that that's something that they like. They like to see a guy out there, grunting and snorting and throwing the ball as hard as he can and showing a little bit of emotion instead of just the stoic face. So, we'll have to wait and see exactly what the start looks like. But, Yankee fans are they're not spoiled anymore. They used to be spoiled. I think right now they're just antsy. They're ready to win another World Series. It's been too long.
Right. Yes. And they want to see the passion that they have for the game reflected in their players. And,
right.
When they, whether it's highs or lows, that passion is important to all New York fans, I believe. Just to quickly review the Yankees offseason right now. Off the bat, re-sign Rizzo. That was a must.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, it wouldn't matter what happened in the Plan B scenario. They absolutely had to re-sign Aaron Judge. They add Tommy Kahnle back to their bullpen. They get Rodon to slot behind Cole. But this kind of goes back to what Hal Steinbrenner told us a month ago about his private conversations with Aaron Judge and saying, we will have enough to get your contract done and to add around you to make us a pennant contender again. And Hal did fulfill that promise, certainly with going the extra mile with that personal touch to secure Judge.
Sure.
But now securing a top of the line, the last sort of elite starter left in the free agent pool in Rodon.
Well, I think this was a situation that Hal realized exactly where this team is as far as history wise. They're in a window right now that you're gonna add to this team and make this team a great team, or you're just gonna continue to flounder. Maybe you keep making the playoffs, but that's not the Yankee way. That is not what Yankee fans want. They want trophies. They want rings. That's what they want. That's what they've been used to for decades now. So I think that Hal stepped up the way he needed to, and he kept his word to Judge that, he had told Judge that, I'm going to build a team around. You're not the only move. We're going to do more. And I think that was one of the problems with San Francisco. San Francisco was not a team that was ready to win. It was going to take time to build that. And, the reports were that the Giants actually came in with a bigger offer, but what was the first thing that Aaron Judge said? He said, what was his biggest priority? His biggest priority was winning. Yeah. And, where was going to be the best spot of all the teams that were discussed, where was going to be the best spot for him to win? That's right back in the Bronx playing right field.
Yeah. And he played that poker hand perfectly, from start to finish, Mike, from that belief in himself to reject what many people, including myself, absolutely thought 213.5 for
valid offer. That was a valid, not a great offer, but a valid offer.
Not felt that, just given his injury history and his age and the chances you take.
Because you have to remember, he had only played full season 1 year at that point.
Right.
He had one full season that he had not been hurt.
Yeah, and that's what it was based on, not what you felt that, certainly, you knew he was an MVP caliber type player. Right. It was just that, yeah, it was all the long-term risk involved in turning a contract like that down, but he did, and not only did he play that one as close to the vest. You walked around, and talked to some Yankee people those first two nights at the winter meetings in San Diego, and they had no idea. I mean, they really, maybe not so much of a coin flip, but as long as that dragged out, there was some real doubt that crept into a lot of Yankee people, really wondering, could he really, take that other offer?
Yeah.
And then the Padres come in with
Oh my gosh.
with another late
Did
bid.
that make everyone take a gasp?
And yeah, I mean, we still haven't. I mean, this thing is still not official yet, and we haven't had
Right.
the Aaron Judge, press conference to
Right.
ask him, when did you actually make that decision? Did you, was it actually done on the plane? Did it take that last call from Hal Steinbrenner? Did you leave? How much more money did you leave on the table to
Right.
to want to be a Yankee? I mean, all those things are a little bit unanswered till we hear it. The final take from Aaron.
Knowing Judge, we might not find that out.
Yeah, true.
He
Right.
might just say, you
still
know
play
what,
that poker game,
that's
yeah.
yes, I'm gonna just plead the fifth, and
Yeah.
yes, it was a bumpy road and it was a roller coaster, but I'm right back. And he's gonna say all the right things like Aaron Judge always does. He's right back where he wanted to be. He's been saying it the whole time. He wanted to spend his whole career in the pinstripes playing for the Yankees. So he did everything that he was supposed to do. But what a roller coaster that was. Him, then the reports that he's flying out to San Diego. Well, what is he going out there for? Oh, now the Padres are included. I mean, there was a lot of drama that went into this, that we said all the way back at the end of the season that Aaron Judge was going to be a New York Yankee, that there was really no concern. Well, I mean, there was a little bit of concern. It ended up being exactly what we expected it to be. And I now, dollar-wise, I was a little surprised. Did not think that this was going to be, it was going to go this high. I thought that maybe in the 330 range. I thought that was what was going to get it done. But my goodness, what a great call for him to bet on himself, to turn down the deal in spring training for what was it, 213, I think.
213 and a half for 7 that would have begun in 2023. So it would have taken him through 2029. Now he's through his age 40 season with this contract.
Congratulations to him. He bet on himself,
million,
and my goodness, did he hit it? Well, pun intended. He hit it out of the park.
$40 million AAV on that one. And you would anticipate, the big press conference after this one, if they don't do it immediately, at some point in spring training or early in the next season, he would be officially named the next Yankees captain. Just wondering what your thoughts about that are.
Technicality. I mean, he probably already is. I remember when Derek got the captainship, and Derek didn't really even want it. He actually even said, I don't want this. What does it mean? I mean, obviously there's a stigma that comes with it, but I think it's more for the fans than anything else. I don't think, I know when Derek got, when he became the captain, we had a team full of captains. We had a veteran team. I mean, he was still one of the younger, well, no, he wasn't. He was, middle-aged as far as his age is, and the team is concerned. So listen, I don't think that has anything to do with what's going on here. Does it make sense? Of course it makes sense. He's their best player. He's their marquee name, but also he's one of their biggest spokesmen. And that's where the captainship really comes into play. He's not afraid to stand in front of the camera and say what he needs to say. As far as what does what was being a captain mean in the clubhouse? It means different things for different people, because, Derek was not really a big outspoken guy, but he didn't need to be. He didn't need to be because of the team that he had around him.
Yeah. And obviously Judge has been the de facto captain of the Yankees for the last several years. I mean, he had that, has had that way of carrying himself since he was a rookie, the way Derek Jeter was. And and not in the rah-rah, in your face type of leadership. And you're right. On a baseball team, it's, you're not wearing a C and you're the only guy who gets to talk to the umpires. It's not a hockey team. It's not a football team. You're not
Right.
out there for a coin toss or anything like that. It's what he does in the clubhouse. And listen, I think I would just say, in the course of a game on the field, Anthony Rizzo is the captain of the infield.
Sure.
Garrett Cole's kind of the captain of the pitching staff. But Judge is the metronome in the middle of that clubhouse. And but his leadership it's probably mostly subtle and supportive. He's the guy. You always hear Yankee players say that he's the first guy that comes up to you after a bad game and says, you go get him tomorrow. And with that quiet support or with a congratulations on a good game or a good play or whatever. And that kind of stuff, never ebbing in his, in the way he leads. And when a team doesn't see him down when he's in a slump, I think that reflects better on all of them everyone's going to go through it.
There's a lot of similarities to Derek. I mean, they're both more lead by example. You're never going to see, we never saw Derek Jeter, not at least run pretty good to first, but he didn't bust it all the time, but there was never an instance that he was loafing. You never see Judge do that. He's more of a lead by example type guy. If he needs to get verbal, he can get verbal, but that's the dynamic of a clubhouse is really an interesting dynamic. And the reason is because it changes. Even if you have exactly the same personnel from one year to the other, everything changes. The relationships, some relationships grow, other relationships sour. It doesn't matter. But the key is that everybody's pulling on the same end of the rope. Everybody's trying to do everything they can do, whether it's big things or little things, to help the club win. And that's really the key. You don't get along with everyone. There's arguments and there's fights there in every clubhouse. That's just the nature of the beast of putting that many type A personalities in a stressful situation, and they're around each other just hours and hours and hours on end a day, every day. And that's where team leaders can come in. But there's so many leaders on that team, just like we had back in the early the late 90s and early 2000s. That everybody just kind of monitors themselves, and whatever issues come up, you take care of it. But when you go on the field, the job is always the same, and that's the Yankees win.
Absolutely. Well, it's going to be a lot more interesting this year with a rotation that now includes Carlos Rodon. We'll see what else the Yankees do. I would think the bullpen is also an area they could still look to upgrade at this point. I would think they could use another lefty. What you still throwing, Mike? You
I
need another compliment to Peralta.
My off-speed stuff is still good. I don't really have the express like I used to, but I think I could do it. Yeah. And hey, listen, I would be cheap.
Come cheap.
You don't need to give me $360 million.
Hey, the league minimum is pretty good right now.
It is that. That is nothing.
The last CBA.
That is no doubt. That is definitely something that those young players, and the Player Association did a nice job, because this is a young league now. They needed to up that. But yeah, I don't think so. I don't think my legs would let me do it. But it's a fun thought though.
Yeah. And to your last point, I think Tony Clark and the Players Association got to be pretty happy with how this winter is going with the salaries.
Oh my goodness.
Right now. So
well, and listen, I don't think anybody could really predicted this. Anybody, including Boris, just simply because the way, because you remember, I think there was still a little bit of question of what was the state of the industry, because of the pandemic just a couple of years ago. Those guys, the owners lost their shirts during the, with nobody in the stands. I mean, the 2020 season, they took everybody took a hit, but the owners took a really big hit, and you didn't know, we're just a couple of years out of that. And, where are these guys financially? Well, I think they answered the question that the industry is in a pretty good place right now with the amount of money that has been thrown around in this hot stove season.
Yeah. And you know what, Mike, it certainly doesn't hurt to to have a guy like Steve Cohen in the same town spending what he's doing
Wow.
to get the Yankees' attention and get them off the ball
Uncle
and
Steve is letting it
motivate them.
fly, isn't he?
Yeah,
Woo.
and maybe motivate them a little more to go that extra mile to
Right.
go get a guy like Carlos Rodon, who they've just locked up with a 6-year, $162 million agreement to be in the Yankees rotation. So that's about it from our end here. We will see you down the line. There'll be more Yankees news this offseason. They're always making news, and their offseason's not through yet. They have some more blocks to move, pieces to put in place, and we'll be here to talk about it. So thank you, Mike. Have a good night, and we'll see you all down the road.
See ya. We'll see if Andrew Benintendi is the next move.
Could be.